Today I'm going to be going over 3 things that completely change the way I think about approaching the guitar and thusly playing the guitar. I find these 3 things really valuable to my understanding of the instrument, and I feel like I want to share it with you so that it maybe will help you. This may set the record for one of the quicker intros. You know the deal, we're in standard tuning, so go ahead and grab your guitar and let's get at it. My name is Keith. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. So today I'm going to be discussing 3 things that completely change the way I think about the guitar, the way I approach the guitar, and the way I play the guitar. But before we start, just want to let you know all tabs, charts, diagrams that you see in this video or any of my videos are available for free via my Patreon. All you have to do is be a free member. And so my paid patron members, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It really does keep me motivated, so thank you. And to end the shills, Sweetwater links are in the description, so if you feel like contributing to the channel without spending any extra money, clicking one of those links before you make any purchase on Sweetwater is a fantastic way to do so. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps me out a little bit, tiny little bit, so I would appreciate it if you did that. If not, it's all good. Let's just have fun with the guitar. All that aside, let's talk about the 3 things that I feel everybody should understand when they're playing guitar. Those 3 things are the notes on the fretboard, triads, and how to use the triads to your advantage in understanding the fretboard, and finally the major scale. Let's jump right into the first topic, which is the notes on the fretboard. Now when people tell you need to know every single note on the fretboard, just pick a random fret, you know, some people may know all that, but that's just brain overload. You don't need to understand all that. And there's plenty of YouTube videos that go over a lot of the topics on how to identify the different notes. I'm going to kind of make it quick because it's been done over and over, but let's just give it a shot. So if I wanted to play a C chord, for example, I know I can play it right here because my root is right there and that's a C. All right, I could play it right here. That's an open position. Everybody knows that, but the root is right here. That's a C, right? So we could do it right here. The root's still right here on the 3rd fret of the A string. That's a C. So C, C, C. And there's tons of C chords all around the fretboard, but the key is to understanding where the root is. That'll help you figure out what kind of cage shape to use. Now, you don't have to know every single note on the fretboard. Really, the key is to understand the 2 low strings, the low E and the low A string. Easy way to remember that is right off the bat. You have the E, F, right? So the thing to understand here is there's 2 notes that are always together, 2 natural notes, so to speak. Between the E and the F, they're 1 fret apart, and the B and the C, those are 1 fret apart. How do we know that? We have the E right here, and if you want to do an F chord, E, F, E, F, right? Same thing with the B. So we got a B, C. Everything else is 2 frets apart. B, C, D, E, and then F, 1 fret apart, right? Right off the bat, that's going to help you understand where all the notes lie on the fretboard. So if I want to go in sequential order, E, F, G, A, B, C. All right, so if I have a C right here, then I know if I do this E shape, that's a C chord. Because if the root's right here, it's a C chord. That is so valuable. You don't understand how valuable that is. You find the root, and then you could play the chord if you know the shape to use and correlate with that root. And the same thing applies to the A string. So we have an A here, open A, B. Remember, between the B and C is 1 fret apart. C, D, E, F. So here's an F chord. G. There's a G chord. So right off the bat, if I know all these notes for these top 2 strings, I only need 2 shapes to play all those different chords, right? So if I wanted to play an A, right? So E, F, G, A, right? B, C, D, E, right? And if you wanted to go back 1 fret, let's say we have a B right here, we want to play a B flat, there's our B flat. With the A chord, with the A string, let me correct myself there, A, B, Here's our B chord, A shape, B flat. Same chord, but just different places to play them. That's the beauty of understanding all the notes on the fretboard. So what about the rest of the strings? Now the rest of the strings you could do octave stuff, so you know that these two right here are A's. That's a D. That's a D. And based off of where that root falls, you could use the corresponding cage shape. I have plenty of videos out there. I'll try to leave as many links as I can in the videos. All right, so understanding all the notes on the fretboard is a big deal, but just don't overload yourself. Just learn these top two strings and just understand that if I have a B there, if you move it one fret back, it's a B flat, right? So you don't need to know every single fret. You know, there's 12 frets before you hit an octave. Really, you only need to know 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can go 7 for all of them. What am I talking about? Let's talk about triads. Okay, so what is a triad? The triad, or a natural triad or a major triad, let's just say it that way, is the 1, 3, and 5 of a chord, right? So let's say we have an A chord right here. And then we identify the 1 of that A chord. 1, and then let's find a 3. 1, 2, 3. There's a 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? That's the 1, 3, and 5. But that's an arpeggio because we can't play all that at the same time. So it's not technically a triad. So let's look at a triad a different way here. This right here is an A triad, right? So that's our root. That's an A triad. How do we know that? We know that by using the major scale, which I'm going to get onto next. But there's one cool trick that I wanted to show you with these triads and how to turn a major chord into a minor chord, which is one of the key things that you should probably understand when you're building your own chords or how to play chords differently. All right, so let's dissect this triad right here, for example. This is an A chord, right? Let's run through the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root. 1, there's our 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3. There's our 3 right there. 4, 5. So we have the 3 and the 5. 6, 7, root. The root, 5, 3 is right there. But what if we wanted to turn this into a minor chord? What do? You flatten the third. So you take this. That's a flat third right there. So that's a minor triad right there. These top 3 strings right down on the 5th fret is an A minor. That's a really cool trick. Now let's say you have a G right here, right? And you're looking at chords for a song and it calls for a G minor. Okay, so there's a couple ways you could play it. You could play a G right here, flatten a third, and then you have a G minor. Nobody knows how to play a G minor this way, do they? But let's just take a look at a G up here. Let's go to G right here. This is my G triad. This is our G. Right here, the 8th fret of the B string. So that's the 1. This is the 3. What happens if we flatten a 3? That turns this triad into a G minor. That is the beauty of triads and why I think it's really valuable to understand those. And it works with every shaped triad that is out there. So you just flatten a third. And from there, we can go on to sevenths, major sevenths, all that fun stuff. But let's stick with the simple stuff. Speaking of simple stuff, this one might not seem simple, but I think it's really important to understand the major scale. The reason I think the major scale is so important is because the things that we were doing before kind of relies on the major scale for understanding. I mean, maybe not knowing all the notes on a fretboard, but when you're getting into triads, arpeggios, sevenths, dominant sevenths. You have to understand the numbers that kind of correlate to what makes those a minor, a major seventh, or dominant seventh, or just a wide variety of things. Understanding that is paramount. I think it's the first scale everybody should understand, and I've kind of driven that nail so deep that I don't think I could drive it any more deep, but I'm going to go even further until it hits the center of the earth. So let's just start out right here with an A, right? Let's look at this E-shaped A. So what did I do there? That was the major scale in 2 octaves, and let's go ahead and throw up the graphic and we'll run through it quick. But the key here is counting out from root to root in the scale. Once you understand the numbers and how that works, then you'll be able to make all the necessary adjustments to the scale in order to build your own scales, arpeggios, and all that. So let's start off with this position. 1 is the root, low E string on the 5th fret, that's an A. A is a 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root. Alright, but it doesn't stop there. We got 6 strings, and we're always going to start on the root when we count. So 1, that's an A as well, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back to the root. Now, why is that major scale so important? Because you could take things, and when somebody says a dominant 7th, that means the 7th is flat. Let's see here. Oh, that's a minor dominant 7th. I learned that from Dan Guitar. What is it? You should check out his channel, Dan. Amazing instructor. He breaks down stuff very similar to what I do, or I break down stuff similar to what he does. Doesn't matter. Subscribe to his channel. And the reason I think it's so important is somebody says, hey, let's do a dominant 7th, then you could count things out and flatten that 7th, right? So let's see right here. This is a D chord. And then if I want to make it a major 7th, this is the 7th of that D, right? 5, 6, 7. So we take that D and play that 7th, right? And that's a D7 or D major 7. But if I want a dominant 7th, we take that 7th, flatten it. That means lifting that finger up, and it's a flat 7th, 1 fret back down. So it's a. So that way, if you understand things like this just by counting it out, no chord is going to be foreign to you if you understand the major scale. It might take you a little time to kind of count things out and figure it out, but once you get there, it'll completely open doors for you, I promise. Now, the easiest way that I find to do all these scales and memorize them in all the different positions, sit on the couch, throw on your favorite show, and just zone out. It doesn't have to be plugged in. Maybe you don't want to put on a show that you need to pay attention to, you know. And if you mess up, think about it and redo it and, you know, concentrate a little harder. But that's it. These are the 3 things that I find completely changed the way I think about guitar, and I really hope that it was helpful, and maybe it'll help you out, and that's the whole goal of this whole thing. So I appreciate you taking the time with me here today, and I hope this helped you out. With that said, I hope you have a wonderful night, and I will talk to you later. Thanks. That couldn't have been any more perfect.